All right, welcome back to the channel. So we have some interesting news with Lou Dibella hints out that they could potentially be fighting Ryan Garcia, and Lou Dibella exposed himself by calling the wrong person, which he was supposed to call Robert Diaz, but he wound up calling Robert Garcia, Mike Garcia's father. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. So we have some interesting news when it comes into the boxing world of boxing, the business of boxing. So we're gonna break it down today. Lou Dibella is exposed for calling the wrong person to try to negotiate a deal with Ryan Garcia and Golden Boy Promotions and stuff like that. He was supposed to call Robert Diaz, and he wound up calling Robert Garcia. And Robert Garcia exposed him, no, not exposed him, but knew all the big plans that was going to happen between him and what it sounded like to be George Kambosos Jr. And they seems to be having to make a deal to make a fight happen. George Kambosos Jr. has been stalling this fight with Devin Haney since the beginning. He was talking about all this crap about being a Spartan warrior. It doesn't matter about the money. It matters about legacy. And I know Devin Haney is the last champion to come undisputed. But he changed on the social media that he's undisputed and all this other stuff. So with that being said, George Kambosos Jr. is really waiting for Australia to open up at 100% capacity. Shout out to BFTV Boxing. He broke this down beautifully yesterday. And he was breaking it down what the government, what's going on with Australia, how it's not opening up and all that other stuff. And Australia is not open, seems to be not opening up no time soon. And George Kambosos said it's going to be open up next month. Then he keeps pushing it back. Then he keeps pushing it back. So we don't know when Australia is going to be open up to 100% because if you go look at the Australian COVID stuff, people seem to be getting the COVID a lot faster out there, and it's going to be a while before they open up 50%, 100% capacity, according to what the governor has said of Australia. So I don't know why George Kambosos won't have it in the States. Obviously, he wants to fight in his homeland because he knows he has a chance to beat Devin Haney in his homeland because you know how they blatantly robbed Manny Pacquiao out of a win against Jeff Horn. And we're going to see what's really going to happen in this whole scenario. So George Kambosos Jr. has been talking to some negotiations, like Lou Dibella says, Devin Haney's email chat. But I want to break this down at first. George Kambosos Jr. recently tried to make a fight with Gervonta Tate Davis. That obviously failed. There was no deal that was going to get done. Gervonta Tate Davis says, F your belt, I don't even want him. Then George Kambosos Jr. tried to go holler at Lomachenko. Lomachenko says, look, we can make this fight. Bob Arum stated that he's not willing to pay George Kambosos big money because he believes that him and Teofimo Lopez colluded to make more money than they should usually make. And it's just not going to happen between them. And Bob Arum just doesn't want to put up the necessary funds. So you guys know how Bob Arum in the situation. So it leaves up to only Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. And I just can't think about this enough. What has Ryan Garcia done since he fought Luke Campbell? And it seems like Ryan Garcia is going to be fighting Emmanuel Togo for like a tune-up fight. And then George Kambosos is looking like he's trying to find a tune-up fight. And I believe George Kambosos is probably going to wait on Ryan Garcia because according to Robert Garcia, it seems like that George Kambosos Jr. Could and Lou Dibella could be making a negotiated deal with Ryan Garcia. And according to sources and stuff like that, it seems like it's going to happen. So with that being said, I don't understand why would they try to fight Ryan Garcia. He has obviously nothing to bring to the table. And then Robert Garcia stated out his mouth that Ryan Garcia is a big fight and he could bring the necessary funds. Well, Ryan Garcia only made $300,000 his last pay-per-view. He didn't do too good on the pay-per-view numbers, even though he's got all these followers. Half of those followers he got are like young kids. So Ryan Garcia is not a big star. I don't understand why George Kambosos Jr. is ducking Devin Haney. He's blatantly ducking Devin Haney because he doesn't want Undisputed because he knows he'll make him look bad. And Devin Haney will obliterate George Kambosos Jr. I'm not saying he would knock him out. I'm saying he would just make him look bad and outbox him. With that being said, let's get to this Lou Dibella guy. Lou Dibella, in my opinion, is one of the shadiest promoters, or managers, whatever you want to call him. And Lou Dibella says that Devin Haney's an email champ, and they've been playing games. We sent Devin Haney an offer, and he turned it down. He didn't want to accept the amount of funds. And Devin Haney's like, "What did you send me?" And so it just came to a whole big dispute after that. And I don't understand why they just can't get a deal done, in my opinion. But guys, be not looking for George Kambosos Jr. versus Devin Haney because George Kambosos Jr. is looking to have a tune-up fight to duck Devin Haney, and he believes that Ryan Garcia is a bigger star than Devin Haney. And if Ryan Garcia knocks out George Kambosos Jr., Devin Haney needs to move up to 140. It's obviously that these guys aren't going to fight him. They're going to continue to duck. Devin Haney ain't going to be able to make that weight anymore. And I think Devin Haney could get to undisputed faster at 140 than what he would get at 135 because these guys are just playing cahoots with these belts. But back to Lou Dibella. Lou Dibella has been on a rant lately about how George and him was trying to get a deal done in Australia, waiting in Australia and stuff like that. But now it seems that that's going to pass away from the moment because they're not looking to fight each other. So I'm going to play some audio footage of Robert Garcia hinting that they're looking to make a fight between him and Ryan Garcia. So I'm going to let you guys hear this. All right, give me 1 second, guys. We're about to play the audio of Robert Garcia hinting that that Lou Dibella is trying to make negotiations with Ryan Garcia. So here's what they had to say. He had to say. Sorry, guys.
I didn't tell him. Then a few days later, he called me with somebody else on the line. I don't know if I think about it. I remember it was not somebody else, somebody big, and they're like, "Hey, Robert, this and that." I'm like, "This is happening again, Lou. Why are you trying to call? You're not Robert Diaz." "No, I'm Robert Garcia." "Oh shit, we're trying to call Robert Diaz." "Well, you already called me a week ago, and you told me the whole. You told me."
Well, there you have it. As Robert Garcia was the wrong guy that they was not supposed to call. They were supposed to call Robert Diaz. They called Robert Garcia, and Robert Garcia know the whole shebang. So Lou Dibella is trying to make plans to fight Ryan Garcia. Obviously, Devin Haney is the most duck lightweight. George Kambosos Jr. on rant saying Devin Haney needs to sell his jury because you're gonna have to give me a lot of money. So Gervonta Tank Davis is not gonna fight you. Highly likely Lomachenko's not gonna fight you because y'all can't get a deal done. And also Lomachenko is not looking for a rematch clause, and Bob Aaron's not looking to pay you big money. So you only got 2 guys on the table. You're not gonna rematch Teofimo Lopez for sure, because you're highly likely gonna lose them belts. And now you're going to fight Ryan Garcia within the guy that's not a major star in the sport of boxing, but is a major star in social media. It makes absolutely no sense why these fighters is ducking Devin Haney. If Devin Haney is such a soft puncher, if Devin Haney ain't got no power, why you just don't fight him? If you think that Devin Haney ain't all that or whatever or not, just fight the man and get it over with because you're going to be making your highest payday with Devin Haney, and it makes absolutely no sense why these guys is ducking. But for closing words, guys, Lou Dibella exposes himself to Robert Garcia, which he was supposed to call Robert Diaz, and stating that they was trying to make a deal, basically make a deal with Golden Boy Promotions, and it wound up backfiring, and Robert Garcia is probably going to spill more of the information. With that being said, guys, it is what it is. And if you also want to go hear this, you can go hear this news on anywhere. Just type in Robert Garcia, finds out about Lou Dibella, calling him the wrong person. But with that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment for your most latest boxing news, the King Jr. Boxing. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.